Okay, so if you clicked on this video, then you kind of have an idea what this video is going to be about. So let's just get into it. So recently my family and I, we've been getting a lot of engagement on our videos on my TikTok page, and I feel like it's also on my Instagram, on my YouTube. I get a lot of comments that say like, I love your family, I aspire to be like you, and they're just super loving comments that I love. I love to see it because I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, like that's like beautiful for people to look at you and be like, oh my god, like your life is beautiful. Like it makes you appreciate what you have even more. But I did want to talk about the reality of it all. You know, we weren't always this happy. I wasn't always this happy. I felt like I had to drag myself out of like the mud. Like literally I felt like quicksand. Like I was just like getting eaten alive. And I felt like me and my husband, we both didn't know why and what was happening to either of us. But I really just want to touch on my side. His side, I'm going to give him time to discuss that on his own when he's ready. But I did want to talk about the before of it all. Like before this beautiful, like bright light of a life, because it wasn't always like that. And that's just the reality of having a kid at such a young age, when you're not emotionally developed, emotionally aware. Like you don't even know how to like I guess you don't even know what's wrong. Like you don't even know how to communicate. You don't know how to like, basically you don't know how to communicate your feelings at such a young age. So like you're just not grown enough, if I'm going to be completely honest. You are never grown enough unless you're having a kid at such a young age. It just pushes you to grow up. But especially when you're that young, like you don't grow up that fast. It doesn't take a year, it doesn't take 2 years to grow up. Like it takes a long time. So anyways, I really just want to touch on that, and how postpartum depression literally ate me alive until I fought my way out. Because I do believe that nobody can pull you out the way that you can pull yourself out. Everybody can tell you, oh, you got this, you can do this, but you need to be your own savior, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so I feel like postpartum depression for me stemmed from a lot of my childhood trauma with my dad, a lot of it. And I do have a lot of family that watches my videos, and I do want to give a quick little disclaimer to that, because I feel like I hear a lot of like, oh, he was a great dad and blah blah. Like at the end of the day, he was my dad. He was my dad. And if there's anybody that could say he was a good dad or not a good dad, it's me. And this is my experience, this is the truth, this is exactly what happened to me. And I just feel like nobody can tell me that my story and my childhood wasn't like that. If I'm telling you firsthand, it was exactly like that. But anyways, I just wanted to do that quick little disclaimer, because I'm just tired of hearing like left and right, like, oh, this is not, like, wait up. So I'm gonna go back to that so you can understand my postpartum depression a little bit better. When I was in 3rd grade, my dad, he was always in and out of prison. Like when I was little, when I like literally the age of 1, 2, 3, like he was always in and out of prison. But as the older I was getting, the like more I was understanding things, you know. There was a point in my life where I did see him like every other day. It was like whenever I wanted to, really. I want to say during the weekdays I did, because my mom allowed that. I would go after school to like my grandparents' house and he would be there. But that relationship was always so weird. Like it was just like he was very like, he gave me the love that he could give me. So he would like buy me things, but he would throw it at me. Like, here, this is what you want, you little. Like he was just like very aggressive with me. Like he didn't like show like a lot of love, if that makes sense. Like it was like what his love was. So I'll give him that, I guess. I don't really care for his side because he never cared to explain it. But anyways, so like he would like do that a lot with me. Like it was like a love, but like a nasty like hatred type of love. It was weird. So he goes to prison, right? And as a little girl, I didn't know, And while he's in prison, he's telling me over the phone, like, no, like, I'm over here, like he's like traveling the world. I didn't even know he was in prison, okay? And he's telling me, like, when I'm done traveling, like, I'm saving all this money. I'm like, when are you coming back? And he's like, it's gonna be like in a year. And I'm like, okay, like counting down the months. And then like it would go a year, and then he was like it was just like a lot of lies. He would tell me over the phone all the time though, yeah, like, I'm gonna get us this big house, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I love you girls, what do you want for your birthday, I'm gonna make sure like I send you something, even though I'm all the way over here. And like he would say these random places, he's like, I'm gonna send you something. And it was like I never got anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never got anything. So my expectations were always like, I'm gonna get something, and I never got anything. Okay, so I'm just not gonna, I don't want to share too much of that because it's not about that. But bottom line is, as you can see, like, it was just like a relationship where he got my hopes up, and then it would be brought back down. Like, it would just like, it was like that a lot, okay? And after he got out of prison, I felt like I was already older, guys. This was like 6 years later, I want to say. And he gets out, I'm a freshman, and I went from being a little third grader to being a freshman. Like, I was like a 8th grader going to freshman year. So it was a huge difference of the little girl he's seen versus me now. So anyways, it was the exact same thing, you guys. Like, it was the exact same things. It was like my hopes were brought up and then brought back down, and brought back up and brought back down. But this time it was a lot more aggressive. Like, I was now older, like I was seeing it like with my own eyes. Now that I'm older and he's doing the same thing, but I'm no longer falling for it anymore, and I'm calling him out on it. I'm like, no, you said you were. Like, one time he had said he was gonna get me a phone for my birthday. Hello, it's my birthday. And he's like, oh, like, blah blah blah, yeah, I'm gonna get you this phone, I'm gonna do this and do that. And he would say it in front of everybody, like make it seem like he's this, oh my goodness, like such an amazing dad. And like it would come to it, and I'm like, oh, like, where's my phone? Like, I've been so excited waiting for my phone. And he'd be like, oh, you ungrateful little bitch. It's like, what do you mean your phone, like this and that? Like, he would go off on me, and I'm like, what do you mean? You said you were getting me a phone. So it just felt like everything he did for us was only a show. Like, he never did anything out of love, like, ever. But he would always flash things at us, like flash money, flash these like big ideas he had, these things that he had before, these pictures of him spending money, and just show us his money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was super flashy with us, but we never got to see anything. Like, he never did anything for us out of his own heart, like, ever did anything. It's sad to say, but at such a young age, I felt like I favored him as a parent because I never got his approval. I never got that love from him. From my mom and my stepdad, I had all of their attention, all of their love and everything, but I just didn't have his. So like, I felt like me begging for him, I would like push my parents, like my stepdad and my mom, away. But yet they were the ones who really like gave me everything. Like, they would give me, like, I'm saying me because I don't really want to include my sister in this, even though it was both of us. But they would give me, like, okay, I started baseball, I started cheer, I started doing all these things, and they were the ones forking it up all the time, did not matter. Like, if they couldn't, they figured out a way, and they always did. And it just didn't matter to me because I'm like, you know, when you're getting something and you're just like always getting something, you expect it, but when this person isn't, you're like, hey, wait, why are you not looking at me? Why are you not paying attention to me? Like, if they love me, why can't you love me? So I felt like my whole like childhood, I was just like stuck in the middle of like wanting his attention and his love, like the same way I get from my mom and my stepdad. But I just wasn't getting it, like, if that makes sense. So anyways, yeah, I just wasn't getting it. And like, when I did, like, it was like it was just so, like, it was weird. Okay, hold up. I just felt like I had a lot of like anger in that. Like, oh my goodness. That's just basically, I'm gonna explain an overview. I'm not gonna really like use any more stories because I'm gonna like not gonna be able to get through this video. So in general, my expectations are like right here. like above me, because my parents, my mom and my stepdad, did that for me every single time. They did that for me. They threw the biggest parties ever for us. They went to every game. They went to all of my ceremonies. My mom did everything, like everything for us, everything. And like him, all he could love me at was right here. And for a while I'm like begging him, like just like, why can't you reach up here? Why can't you reach up here? But that's because that's his max, and that's not what I'm used to, and that's not what I wanted, right? So before having Adeline in 2020, right, I fought a lot with everybody. I was like an angry little girl because I couldn't understand why the one person I needed to love me to feel complete couldn't love me. So basically, now I don't even know if I want to post this. Okay, I just want you guys to understand the before so you can understand why postpartum depression hit me so bad. If you remember, I told you guys from 6th to 8th grade I went to therapy, okay? But the only thing that sucked about that was they gave me therapy while my dad was in prison to help me, right? Help me cope. But during that time, like, I would go to therapy and every other month they would change my therapist, so I would have to tell them the whole story again. And there came a time where I told my mom, I don't want to do it anymore. And she's like, why? And I was like, because I keep telling them. I keep having to tell them. And I'm like reliving through it. Like, nobody's staying. And it's sad because when I told my therapist back in 2023, I told him, I'm like, I've never had a therapist that actually stayed with me. And then I was like, so I didn't want to do it anymore. And he's like, you know why though? Because that stems from your dad. Like, he would always leave you. So like, having these therapists that always left you, it was hurting you more than it was helping you. I was like, no, exactly. I had therapy, but it didn't work out for me ever. For those 3 years, because it was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, those 3 years, it didn't work for me. Like, it was just like off and on, off and on. Like, I wouldn't go for 6 months. I would try to go again, and it just wasn't working for me. So my mom always was like having me in sports and things like that, because she felt like me being out and burning my energy out there, like, I would come back home happier. Because I was just always so angry, always so angry. A lot of that anger came from sadness, and I just couldn't separate the two. I couldn't separate sadness and anger. I couldn't tell myself, you're sad, Beto, you're sad. I couldn't tell myself that. That's what it was like. That was what my childhood, like, and it was like that forever. Like, it never changed when I had Addie, because he was just in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2020. Okay, so I give birth to Addie. When I had Addie, I didn't notice anything, like, at all. If I'm gonna be honest, I didn't notice anything. I didn't notice I had postpartum depression until 2023. This is 3 years after having Addie. But when it goes untreated, like, and you don't catch it and you don't try to come out of it, it can last for years. Like, it can last for like 10 years, 6 years. Like, it can last forever if you don't know how to get help and you don't see it for yourself. 2020, I have Addie, and again, like, I felt happy with like life, but I just felt like there was like something missing, and it would just anger me. Like, so I start my business, and that I'm loving that, and I'm going to school, and I'm just keeping myself busy. 2022, we decide like, okay, let's buy a house. So we save all our money, and we're working so hard, and we end up getting the house. And during from 2020 to 2022, before we bought the house, like, we were living at my mom's, and my sisters were all there because it was COVID. My sister hadn't moved away to college yet. My little sisters were there because everything was online. And then my mom was there and wasn't there. She was like off and on. But like, she was always there, like every day, but like, she had work, so she would go to work, come back, go to work, come back, you know. And like, it was just always a full house, like you know, like, I was never alone. So I felt like I was always busy and like doing things to where I wasn't able to catch it because I wasn't alone. Because like, if I wouldn't go outside my room, like after 8 o'clock, like 8 in the morning, my mom or my sisters would just go in there, especially my stepdad. He would always just like open the door and like get Addie and like, you know, carry her, kiss her. He's like, okay guy, okay, she'll be in the living room whenever you're ready. And I'm like, okay. And I would sleep for another hour, get out, take a shower, brush my teeth, and then I would go get Addie. But I always had them there. Like, I always had help. So like, I guess like I never let it get bad, because I would like, they were there. So like, I couldn't like, I guess I hid it, if I'm gonna be honest. I hid it, but I didn't know I was hiding it, right? But during those 2 years, I noticed my weight. Like, I was at a steady 130 pounds. Like, I couldn't lose weight. I was just at home. It's a really confusing time, honestly. 2020 to 2022 is super confusing. I feel like I blacked it out a lot. At the end of 2022, when we got our house, is when I noticed, so it was in June of 2022 when we got our house, I noticed like my postpartum depression like took over. So when we got this house, I hated it. Like, I literally hated this house. Like, I remember we had money and everything to decorate and to get a table and to put cement outside. We had like money to do that. I just didn't care to do it. We had like, it was just so sad like when we got our house, because okay, I'm gonna try to make this through without crying, because it's a little like, it's emotional. But we get the house, and this house is just so quiet. Okay, so this house is just so quiet compared to my mom's, and it was just me and Addie, because Nathaniel was always at work, because this was during his season. So he has a season at work where he works 7 days a week, 12 hours, and I didn't have him from like the day that like 2 days after we get the house. He starts his season, and I don't, like, I see him, he comes home, sleeps, and he was going through his own thing. So that's why it makes me so sad. Yeah, so he was working all the time, and we didn't really like get to see each other like that until like October. No, I'm lying. We didn't get to like really enjoy each other in this house until like October, November. But by then I feel like the postpartum depression just like lurked in and just like snatched me. Like, it was like scary, because like postpartum gets you so bad to where you feel like you're not even you. Like, I felt like I was me, but in somebody else's like head. Does that make sense? Like, it's me, I'm looking at me, but I'm not in my own head. Like, I can't even like explain it better than that. Like, I remember like I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to say it and admit to it, because like I didn't want to be depressed. Like, I didn't want that. But I know my mom knew something was wrong, because she would always ask for Addie. She would be like, can I pick her up? And I'd be like, no, not today. Like, just because I just didn't want to deal with anybody. I didn't want to hear anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. And it would just come to the point where she's like, I'm picking her up. Like, have her ready for me. And I would let her take her for the day. And I would just be home. Like, and it's so sad, because I don't even know what I would do. Like, I would go shopping a lot to get my mind off of it. But I would drive a lot. Like, I would just drive and just drive. And like, I would just drive everywhere listening to songs, because I just didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't cook like that. We always ate out. Like, it was just so bad. It was just so bad. It was bad during that time. I remember I had 2 cousins who had their babies in like 2021. So 2022 was their daughter's like first birthdays that year. And I just like, I felt like I was so embarrassed to see family. So like, I just didn't go, and I felt so bad. But I was just so embarrassed. I don't know what was wrong. So yeah, I really hardly ever showed up to family things. Like, I would just make excuses like, oh, I'm working, or like, this isn't that, I'm busy, I'm tired, oh, Addie's in a bad mood. Like, I would just make excuses, because I just like, I didn't want nobody to see me like that. Like, it was weird, because it felt like it wasn't me. if you're a mom, you get what I'm saying. Like, it just feels like you're not you. Like, it feels like somebody else is playing you and you're just like you can't do anything. Like, you just feel stuck. So that's when 2022 is like when I felt like was the worst year of my life. Like, the worst year, the worst year. And it makes me so sad because I look at pictures and I tell like Nathaniel, I'm like, I would do anything to take back, like I would do anything to go back to that year, into 2020, and just raise Addie all over again. Like, I don't care about this house, I don't care about anything. It's just, I just wish I would have gotten help. Like, I wish I would have knew it was postpartum depression and gone, like, I wish I would have gone on antidepressant something. I wish I would have just asked for help, and I didn't. So those years literally just ate me up. And 2022 ends, it's 2023, at the beginning of 2023, and like, I just felt like I hadn't gone anywhere in life. Like, I felt like stuck. Like, I felt like I wasn't doing anything in life, and that's not like me. Like, if people know me, like the people that know me know that I'm not like that. I'm not somebody who just like stays home and does nothing. Like, that's not me. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm not. Like, I have something going for me. It's not like I'm just sitting here and just like okay with just being here, not having a degree and things like that. Like, no, I have like a goal in mind. But in 2023, I realized that like I had nothing. And I was like, oh my god, I literally have nothing. Like, I have zero. Like, I know we have a house together, I know we have this, but I don't have anything. I didn't work hard for anything, you know? So I'm like, I'm upset with myself, and I'm just so angry again. I just started like getting like so angry. I'm like beating myself up about it. And I decided that day, I'm like, I'm gonna go on a drive, and I start to listen to the music I'm listening to, and it's all about like love. Like, it's all about like not having that love. And I'm like, why am I listening to this type of music? Like, I don't even feel like I'm not being loved. Like, I do. Like, Nathaniel loves me a lot. And then I'm like, what's wrong with me? And like, I sat there in like literally the garage of my car. The car was turned off, and I'm looking at the lyrics, and I'm like, why am I listening to this type of song? And I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, dude, this is so depressing. I started deleting songs. I'm like deleting. Like, I'm not listening to sad songs anymore. So I'm deleting them. And then I'm like talking to myself about things. I'm just like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? And then I felt like I sat there for like a good like hour, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just like talking to myself. And the saddest part about all this is Addie's literally in the back seat asleep. And like, she would always join me on these car rides. Like, she would join me on the rides, and she would sit in the back, and she always loved when I had music on. She would tell me, higher. She wanted to higher it. And so anyways, like, I see she's sitting in the back seat, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, and I'm just like thinking, I'm like, why are you so sad? Why are you so angry? Like, you have everything, you know? You don't even have to work a job that you don't like. Like, Nathaniel takes care of me. Like, you have a boyfriend that loves you. Like he loves me. Like, what are you sad about? Your daughter's healthy, you're healthy, he's healthy. Like, you just got a house. Like, what are you sad about? You're literally driving this brand new 2023 car, like 2024 at the time car. Like, what are you sad about? What do you not feel fulfilled in? And then finally I was like, I realized that I just wasn't happy, and I just couldn't pinpoint what it was. Like, something just felt like it was eating me alive. So I go to sleep. Whenever we go to sleep, the next day we get up, and I get up and I call my sister. I'm like, hey, where's the therapist you used to go to? She's like, oh, over here, blah blah. And I was like, oh, okay. So I scheduled an appointment, and I want to say they had an appointment within that week. And I go to the appointment, and I just feel like the first question was like, oh, why are you here? They're like, why are you here? And I'm just like sitting there and I just start crying. I literally just like, everything just comes out. So anyways, I'm just sitting there and I'm crying and I'm like, everything just comes out and I'm just like looking at her and I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, what do you, okay, well, let's start from the beginning. She's like, cause you know, like, she's like, you know why you're here. And she's like, so like, what are you doing? Like, okay. So she's just asking me questions and I just start crying and I'm like, and I just start pouring everything to her, just like everything, like I just start saying all these things, like, I don't feel happy and I don't know what's wrong. Like, I feel angry, I feel embarrassed, I feel ashamed. Like, this is not me. I don't feel like I'm in my own skin. And I think the thing that hurt me the most is when I left, she's like when the conversation was over, like, she's like, okay, yeah, I definitely think you need to see a therapist. She's like, but we don't have an opening for another 2 months. And I'm just like, I get up and I leave. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I get in my car and I just bawl my eyes out because I'm like, I feel like I just opened a whole door and like to something that like now I need questions to. And it's just like, wow, thank you for coming. We just charged your insurance for this appointment, but thank you. We'll let you know in 2 months when we have an opening. Like, I thought that was the most like degrading, like the most like disgusting thing ever. Like, you just like had me open up when you guys knew you guys didn't have appointments for another 2 months. Like, why would you do that? Like, if anything, you should have like had the appointment within that week. Like, told me wait for 2 months to get a consultation. And I was just so angry. Like, they let me down again. Okay, so for those 2 months I tried answering the questions on my own. Like, okay, why are you sad? Why are you upset? Why are you angry? Who are you angry at? And I would try to ask myself these questions, but I just felt like it would just get me angrier. Okay, so I see my therapist and I'm talking to him about everything, and he's like, okay. So I look at him and I'm just like crying, and he's like, okay, so your dad's a piece of shit. And I was like, yeah. And I laughed and he's like, it's okay because you're not a piece of shit, you know? And I just laughed and I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like, that's true, I'm not. Like, and he was just like, sometimes just people that we meet in life who can't love us the way we need to be loved, and that's okay because you can't do anything about it. And I was just like, that's true. And the one thing he said that like really stuck with me was just like, don't let what ruined your childhood ruin your daughter's. And then that's what, like, after hearing that, I just felt like that was what I needed. Like, I needed somebody to like tell me like, hey, he ruined your childhood, but like, don't let him ruin your adulthood. Don't let him ruin this for Addie. Like, Addie deserves a happy mom. Addie doesn't deserve an angry mom who doesn't know what she's angry at, but she's just angry all the time. Like, she doesn't deserve that. Like, after the appointments, like, I would feel like relieved but then angry again, because it was just like opening more doors. And he would always like have like questions for me that I would just answer. I would take it home, and it felt like it was like class for me, because I would go every week, every Friday. I would go every Friday, and I would take a little notebook, jot down things. He would tell me, okay, you need to look at the way, like, this wheel. And there was like a wheel that like taught you how to express yourself, because he's like, you're looking at this and you're going straight to anger. He's like, you're not angry, you're either sad, you're overwhelmed, you're tired, you're happy. Like, there's so many other ways to explain yourself. Why do you keep going toward angry? Is it because it's just easier to hide, like being angry? And I was like, yeah, it is easier, you know? And he's like, no. And he starts like giving me that wheel. He's like, you need to go home, and when you get angry about something, he's like, you need to know when to, like, what you're really angry about, if you're really even angry. And like, I just felt like honestly, going to therapy really saved me. It made me feel like I wasn't crazy. Okay, so another thing I forgot to mention was when I went back to therapy, it was after I received a message from him, which is my biological father. It had said, so this was around the same time. It was so weird. So those 2 months that the consultation happened, during those 2 months, I was working with my dad, and on a random weekend, he had just started a whole new spa, right? So I helped him out on Saturday and Sunday. Usually I only go Sundays, every other Sunday, but this time I helped him on Saturday and Sunday. And I did it because he was opening up a new spa on Saturdays, right? So I go help him on Saturday, okay? I had went that Saturday, and it was from 3 in the morning to 2 p.m. And when I went, I noticed he wasn't really making a lot of money because, like, he just started, nobody really knew his name. And I felt bad. I was like, okay, so he really didn't make a profit, you know? And I remember saying, like, you only have to pay me $50 for today, it's fine. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's fine, just $50 is fine. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, it's okay, like, you didn't do that good today, but it's okay. Next time, you know, when you pick up, you're a little bit better, like I'll like, you can pay me in, like, how you usually pay me for Sundays. And he's like, okay, you know, thank you. We had like a heart-to-heart moment, and I felt like, okay, like, maybe like we're growing past like this whole like toxic stage where he's being mean to me, calling names, and I'm crying. Like, I would literally cry all the time at work, all the time, because it was always like him calling me the B word and me crying because I'm like, why are you being so mean? Him screaming at me and me crying because I'm like, bro, like, he was just super aggressive with us, like treated us like we were just some randoms. So that Sunday again, I work with him again, and after work there was like a party. So I go to the party because he desperately wanted me to go, even though I'm just so tired. I hadn't spent a morning with my Addie. And so anyways, I go, right? I take Addie, we're having a good time. I leave to go to my mom's side because they're having a party too, and I'm running late to that one. I go to that one, and at night I receive a message basically telling me like, oh, I want nothing to do with you anymore, blah blah blah, have a good life, all this stuff. And I'm just so confused because I'm like, what do you mean have a good life? Like, we were just fine, and now you want nothing to do with me? Like, what did I do? And it's crazy because that message, I remembered, like, I was like, there was no I love you, nothing. Like, it was like an emotionless text, and it was just like a horrible text you could receive, the most horrible text you could receive, right? Especially coming from like your parent, like, right, the person that should love you more than anybody. I get that text and I write like all my emotions down on a text. I'm like, how could you? And I'm like writing it all down, like, you're a coward, you're a coward. When you realize that you effed up, you can no longer come back to us. Like you can't keep doing this anymore. We're not 8-year-olds. We're not like these little kids that you could just keep breaking their heart and just decide, hey, I actually don't want to be a dick anymore, I actually love you guys. Like, you're 38. You need to grow some balls and be a man. And that's what I told him in the message, and never got a response back. Never. I remember crying to his side, like, not his side, but his family side. And guess who never gave a fuck? Them. Even though, like, we grew up with them, you know? Like, they were, like, my grandpa and them were like, he was like another dad to me. Like, I had so much love for that side, but as soon as we were hurt, like, nobody cared. Like, nobody cared, you know? I released a TikTok, right? I do a little TikTok video, and I talk about how, like, my dad would sell, like, illegal substances because everybody knew. If you're from the small town we're from, everybody knew what he did. Like, everybody knew why he went to prison. And if I'm gonna be honest, that's the life he chose over being a dad to his kids. So if I call you what I called you, it's all truth. Like, I don't anyways. So anyways, I released a video basically saying like, oh, come with me to therapy because of my blah 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 dad, right? Oh my gosh, it was so crazy. Like, that day that I released that video, not even like 5 minutes of it being out, left and right calls, everybody telling, take it down, take it down. We get a call from my grandma, and it's just like, take it down, take it down, you don't know what you're doing to his life, he doesn't deserve that, that's not what my son is. And like, it was just like the most like effed up call, because I hadn't received a call from her to check up on us, like, hey mijas, how are you doing, that the son I raised is doing that to you girls, like, I love you girls. Like, no, we never received a call from her, ever. The only call we received was to tell us to take that video down. Like, so like I said, like I grew up really close to them, like really close to them. And the fact that like when we needed them, they were no longer there, and now they actually hated me. Like they seen me, it was like it was like the most like disgusting thing you could ever do to your grandchild slash niece. Like I said what I said. I don't think that I would wish that on anybody. Like a whole family to turn their back on you when that grown-ass man decided to treat us the way he did, and I decided I'm old enough and I'm gonna speak out on about it. Like if you can already tell, like I was already at a super low point in my life. Like it was 2023, like I just went through all of that in 2022. I'm trying to find a way out, and then it's like again, like this guy comes back into my life and just decides to just hammer at me, like boom boom boom, like let me just mess you up a little bit more. Like if I just didn't ruin your childhood, like let me just keep hitting you, let me just kick you while you're down, like let me just do that because I love you so much. And then having family that does that to you right after, like he already kicked you, like I'm already bleeding on the floor, and these people just walk in and keep kicking me. Like it just felt like they all turned their back when I needed them, and it just felt more of a letdown. So I felt like I was going to spiral if nobody pulled me out. If I didn't go to therapy, I felt like I would have just spiraled, because I was just so angry. And I remember like people telling me like, why did you post that video, why did you post that video, like just take it down. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to take anything down, because we don't, like, why am I gonna make this guy look like the good guy? Like look what he's doing, like look what everybody just showed their true colors. So I felt like at that time, like I felt like super like lonely, because I'm like, you know, like you grow up thinking like everybody loves you, and when you get older and you have your own kid, you start to realize like people are messed up in their head. Like people that love you don't love you. Family won't always defend you like family would. Like it was just a super sad time in my life. It was just, I feel like that added like a lot of anger and a lot of hurt and a lot of sadness and a lot of letdown in my life, like a lot. Anyways, I go to therapy like I had explained before, and he just starts asking me like the right questions, like what do you have to be happy about? And I'm just pouring it all out. Like, what do you want Addie to grow up with? And I'm just telling them like I want her to have like a loving family, and I want her to be loved by people that genuinely love her. Like I don't want people to love her because they love us, like because they love me, or because they have to love her. Like, you know, like I want Addie to be loved because Addie's loved. And I remember him saying like, so would you want those people in her life? And I'm like, no, because they couldn't even love me, let alone will they love my kid. Like they will never love my kid that way. And he's like, okay then, so why do you care? Why do you care? Let them be assholes, but let them be assholes to each other, you know? Like, why are you letting it eat you up? And I just like remember, I'm like, okay, like that's true. Like I don't want them part of Addie's life. Like I want Addie to know nothing about them. I don't even want Addie to know that that last name even exists. I just like remember in therapy, like I would just jot down notes all the time, like all the time. I would go home and I would just think about it all the time. I would journal, and I would just tell myself like it's okay, like it's okay, like you don't want their love, you don't need it. Like you've always had the love you needed right in front of you. Like, and if I wouldn't have had my parents, like if you're someone out there who feels like you have nobody, like you have yourself and your kid. That's more than enough love. Like the way that our kids love us is like no other. So I felt like I had to like be strong for her and for myself. I felt like just her loving me that way and just seeing her was enough to pull me out of it, but also like accepting the fact that that was my childhood and that was my biological father, and it is what it is, you know. The postpartum depression that I had after having Adeline was all like pulled out from under that needed to be resurfaced anyways, so that way I can grow. I needed a whole new slate. I needed to build a home from like a good foundation. So I do feel like accepting everything for what it was and burying it and having it no longer, and like pouring cement on it, like I feel like it helped me heal a lot. And seeking help, I felt like if I would have done it a lot sooner, I wouldn't have crashed the way I crashed. It is what it is. I feel like it's life. We all learn from it. But as long as you're willing to come out of it and take that lesson and move on, like, you're the bigger person. Like, you grew. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't let it crush you and stay crushed. Like, you didn't just sob. And I feel like I didn't. I feel like I did grow a lot from it. So postpartum depression can do a number on you. It really can. After going to therapy, I went to therapy for less than a year. I want to say it was like 8 months. My therapist was Christian, so he would always tell me, like, you always speak so highly of Nathaniel. Like, you always speak so highly. Like, why aren't you guys married? And I would always be like, it's expensive, it's expensive. Like, you know, and he's like, it's not. Like, you guys need to look into it. Like, a love, you should never put like a dollar amount on love. Like, you can do it anywhere. Go to the park. And I was just like laughing. And no, like, it honestly did, like, the things that he said too, like, you need to find a really good therapist, because this therapist brought me and Nathaniel closer, because he would say too, he's like, he's a good guy, like, God put him in your life for a reason, you know. My husband didn't have the best, like, you know, biological father either, and that's for him to touch on. But like, I do believe God put us in our, like, each other's lives for a reason, because he's that dad that I've always wanted, and he's doing that for Addie. Like, that's the best thing I could have asked for. Like, that's the most amazing thing I could have asked for. And the fact that I'm being loved, like, now, I would choose that over having an amazing dad 1,000 times. Like, I would choose that over and over again forever, because this is the man I'm gonna be with forever. Like, my dad, like, my biological father got to ruin the first 16 years of my life, but he will no longer have that hold on me ever again. Ever again. So, like, now that, like, my husband's here, and, like, it just feels like he's filled that void, like, a lot. He's an amazing dad to Addie, like, an amazing dad. And it's just crazy to me, because she'll never understand what it's like to have a shitty dad, like, ever. And that's, like, I love that. She'll never know what it's like to have grandparents that let her down, like, ever. My husband's parents, which is his mom and the dad that decided to step up, not his biological father, and my mom and my stepdad that decided to also step up, they love Addie like no other. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, this girl has so much love from all directions that I wish I would have had. But, like, that's the best thing you could ask for, is just put your kids in a situation that, like me, I feel complete, because Addie has what I always wanted. And, like, seeing her happy, like, she's never gonna feel what I feel now, ever. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me to be happy forever. That's enough. My therapist helped me realize that. He's like, I hope you know, though, that, like, you ended that. Like, you're the last one who has to be hurt by a dad. It's like, that's true. That's completely true. After going to therapy, literally a month after my therapy sessions ended, me and Nathaniel got married, because I just felt like more alive than ever. Like, I felt like I was living life. Like, I wasn't just alive. Like, I was living life. And I was happy. I was excited for the next thing. I started, like, creating schedules, creating notes, creating to-do lists. Like, I knew what I wanted. I made, like, a whole vision board. Fun fact, I've already literally completed more than half of that, which is crazy, because we didn't even believe I can complete any of that within a year. I completed more than half of that in 5 months. Like, it's just crazy what you could do when you're, like, mentally there. Like, nobody can bring us down right now. Like, we're on a high. Like, I'm happy, he's happy, like, we're happy, Addie's happy. Like, these are the parents that Addie deserved from the very beginning. But it doesn't matter. Don't cry, because she's gonna have it forever. Like, forever and ever. She's never gonna remember it and that's okay. But I will tell her a little bit of it because I'm gonna scare her, like, you're not having a baby young, because this is not for the weak. Not for the weak. Anyways, yeah, so I'm happy. He's happy. She's happy. Like, that's all I can ask for. We're healthy. We're happy. That's all I can ask for. And now we are living life, enjoying life, ready to continue our family, be a bigger family, and just grow from here. Because you know what, guys? You guys have the power all in your hands right now. Like, pull yourself out of that slump. If it's not postpartum depression and it's just depression, pull yourself out. Delete the sad music. F that. Take everybody negative out of your life. Who cares if you struggle a little bit more? Like, I lost the job that I had with my biological father that I was making, like, probably an extra $1,000 a month, but F that. I don't need that. Now I have my Sundays again in the morning, and I get to enjoy my Sundays. Like, you don't even realize the blessings that are in disguise. Like, you don't. Like, you see them like, oh my god, so sad. Like, I see, when he sent me that message, I was like, oh my god, like, oh my god, why would he do this to me again? But you know what? Actually, thank you, God. Like, I think about all these things, and I'm like, thank you, God, for showing me that he's a piece of shit over and over again. So now that I'm older, I can actually take that equation out of my life, bye-bye, and move on. Because you know what? We're not gonna keep doing that fight. We're not gonna keep fighting. Like, bye-bye, get out. You're not happy. You're a loser. Bye-bye. And I also thank him for showing me what family is. Like, throughout all of this, like, I don't even miss anything, you guys. I don't miss anything, because I have the family that loves me right in front of me. I have my mom, I had my stepdad, I have all my sisters, I have like the aunts, the cousins, I had everybody right in front of me. I had my husband literally right next to me, my baby right there. Like, I had the family. Like, goodbye to the grandmas and the aunts and the uncles and everybody. Like, cool, whatever. But I had these right here that was more than enough. So there are such things as blessing in disguises. You just don't realize it until you're out of it. And honestly, I thank God for doing all of that, kicking those people out, opening the blinds. Thank goodness, because I wouldn't know where I would be. Maybe my hair would be like purple by now, like, literally. But sometimes I do want to get rid of the red, because I'm like, why? Like, I dyed my hair red when I was like literally like deep into depression. But you know what? Like, no, I'm gonna keep the red, because you know what? Depression could come and I'm gonna kick its ass left and right. Like, what's good? And also, I think that's why we didn't have a second kid, like right after Addie, because hello, like, depression was like to me, and no, it's not gonna do that to me. So I know for the next round, the next baby, like, come on, let's get the baby, but stay the fuck away, depression. You're not fucking coming near me. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of this house. Bye-bye. Also, my grandma did give me holy water, so maybe like the demons left, because yeah, she did give me holy water. My amazing grandma, by the way. But anyways, yeah, that's my story. Sadness is gone now. So anyways, yeah, that's my story. I am happy. I'm thriving. I am living life. I love life. So if you are in the depression, get yourself out of it, queen. You are the only one who can get yourself out of it. And I believe in you, because if I can do it, you can do it. If she can do it, he can do it. If anybody can do it, we can all do it. But seek help. Please seek help, because I wouldn't have been able to get out of it without help from a professional. And if I would have needed those antidepressants, I would have gone on it like this fast, because fuck that. I'm not wasting no time over here. So thank you guys for watching. You guys can always reach out to me too, because I would message you guys in a heartbeat back if you guys were to message me about you suffering with any of this. Love you guys. Thank you for watching, and bye.